Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is ChatGPT. I asked it a few weeks ago. Basically, can you find me the names of the 9/11 hijackers with photos? Let's see. Why is this thing being a pain? Okay, so this guy I remember, but these are all the hijackers from the 9/11. They were all killed, obviously, in the plane crash. But it says here is the names of the 19 hijackers responsible for the September 11, 2001 attacks. The nine you asked about can be found among them. I don't know why it says nine because I didn't ask for that, but maybe because I used 9/11 up here. That's what she's 9 of 11, like 9 of 11. That's what that would stand for. But anyway, it says for each, I've noted the aircraft that hijacked and the target. So, American Airlines Flight 11, North Tower, World Trade Center, Mohammed Atta. That's that one dude. I wish I could keep this separate. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. So, this dude, this is the one I remember most, I think, out of all of these. Uh, Abdulaziz, Abdulaziz Al Amari, Saudi National, Wael Al Shuri, Saudi national, Walid Al Shuri, Saudi national, Satam Al Sakami, the Saudi national, United States or United Airlines, excuse me, Flight 175, South Tower, World Trade Center, Marwan Al Shihai, whatever, the pilot, Emirati national, and Atta confidant, Fayez Ben Ahmed, Emirati national, Mohand Al Shari, Saudi national, Hamza Al Ghamdi, the Saudi national, Ahmed Al Ghamdi, Saudi national. I mean, you got to be real committed to get in a plane and go off and kill yourself over this stuff. I don't get that. That just doesn't make sense. So American Airlines Flight 77, which hit the Pentagon, is Hanger, a pilot. A Saudi national crashed into the Pentagon. Khalid Al Midhar, a Saudi national. Nawaf Al Hazmi, whatever. A Saudi national brother of Salim or Salem Hazmi, whatever. Majid Makad, Saudi national, and brother of Nawaf, whatever. The United Airlines Flight 93, this was the Pennsylvania field. Ahmed Al Nami, Saudi national, among four hijackers on Flight 93. And then Zayed Ajara, a Lebanese national and pilot. If you were referring to the nine, I don't know why, I don't know. I say she, it's not necessarily a she. Okay, so about the photo carousel, the image panel above shows a composite of the 19 hijackers whose mugshot likenesses have been publicly released. These are criminal registration ticket style photos used as evidence in official sources. The FBI and 9/11 Memorial Museum display them to provide context in the historical narrative. And then the full list of 19 hijackers spans all four flights. The nine, I didn't ask for nine, about include the five from flight 11, four from flight 175, four from flight 77, and four from flight 93, totaling 19 hijackers. So if you meant nine key individuals, I didn't mean that. Those names are Muhammad Atta, Marwan Al Shihi, Hanjar, Zayed Jara, and others like Nawaf Al Hamzi, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Uh, that's good enough. Okay, so we get the pictures again. These are the guys that did that. That took down the World Trade Center. So September 11th attacks. This is the history.com channel. I just happened to stumble on this in whatever Chat GPT sent me. It says on September 11, 2001, terrorists linked to the Islamic extremist group Al Qaeda, founded by Osama bin Laden, hijacked four commercial passenger airplanes and carried out suicide attacks against targets in the United States. Two of the planes were flown into the World Trade Center in New York City. Within a few hours, both of the Twin Towers collapsed in the rubble, demolishing a large section of lower Manhattan. The third plane hit the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia, just outside Washington, D.C. The passengers and crew of the fourth plane fought back, and the plane was downed in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Almost 3,000 people were killed in the 9/11 terrorist attacks, including the 19 Al Qaeda terrorists. The shocking events of September 11th were televised globally and left much of the world reeling in horror. The administration of President George W. Bush responded by declaring a war on terrorism. And that's where we got the WMDs. Okay. And that's why the whole Iraq war sparked up again, or whatever, including the creation of the Department of Homeland Security and the invasion of Afghanistan. Let's see. So on September 11, 2001, at 8:45 a.m. on a clear Tuesday morning, an American Airlines Boeing 767 loaded with 20,000 gallons of jet fuel crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact left a gaping, burning hole near the 93rd and 99th floors of the 110-story skyscraper, instantly killing hundreds of people and trapping hundreds more on higher floors. As the evacuation of the tower and its twin got underway, television cameras broadcasted live images of what initially appeared to be a freak accident. Then 18 minutes later, after the first plane hit of second Boeing 767, United Flight 175 appeared in the sky, sharply turned toward the World Trade Center and sliced into the South Tower between the 77th and 85th floors. The collision caused a massive explosion that showered burning debris over surrounding buildings and onto the streets below. It immediately became clear that America was under attack. Yeah, I remember that morning. I dropped my oldest daughter off at school and came back in the house, turned the TV on. Sure enough, that's when I think one of the first, either the first or second plane hit. I can't remember. But anyway, let's see. Where did the 9/11s take off from? Some of them came from Boston, Washington, Newark, and then I guess and boarded four early morning flights bound for California. Let's see. So let's look through here. The Twin Towers collapse. At 10:30, the north building of the Twin Towers collapsed. Only 18 people in the World Trade Center towers at the time of the collapse survived. Most were with the group of FDNY firefighters in the North Tower stairwell B, which remained intact. One woman survived after the stairs she was rushing down disintegrated around her. Almost 10,000 others were treated for injuries and many severe. Yeah, this one, let's see, was hijacked about 40 minutes after leaving Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Because the plane had been delayed and taken off, passengers on board learned of events in New York and Washington via cell phone and airphone calls to the grounds. Ugh, that's just terrible. I can't imagine. I mean, I know we have to have security in some things, but it's like, dang it. So let's see. The passengers fought. Okay, so which one is this one? Let me go back. So Flight 93, meanwhile, a fourth California bound plane, United Flight 93, was hijacked about 40 minutes after leaving Newark Liberty International Airport, New Jersey. Because the plane had been delayed and taken off, passengers on board learned of events in New York and Washington via cell phone and airphone calls to the ground. Knowing that the aircraft was not returning to an airport as the hijackers claimed, a group of passengers and flight attendants planned an insurrection. One of the passengers, Thomas Burnett Jr., told his wife over the phone that I know we're all going to die. There's three of us who are going to do something about it. I love you, honey. Another passenger, Todd Beamer, was heard saying, "Are you guys ready? Let's roll," over an open line. Ugh. Sandy Bradshaw, a flight attendant, called her husband and explained that she had slipped into a galley and was filling pitchers with boiling water. Her last words to him were, "Everyone's running to first class. I've got to go. Bye." The passengers fought the four hijackers and are suspected to have attacked the cockpit with the fire extinguisher. The plane then flipped over and sped toward the ground at upwards of 500 miles per hour. Oh my gosh. Crashing in a rural field near Shanksville in western Pennsylvania at 10:10 a.m. All 44 people aboard were killed. Its intended target is not known, but theories include the White House, the U.S. Capitol, the Camp David presidential retreat in Maryland, or one of the several nuclear power plants along the eastern seaboard. Says how many people died in the 9/11 attacks? A total of 2,996 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks, including the 19 hijackers or terrorist hijackers aboard the four planes. Citizens of 78 countries died in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. At the World Trade Center, 2,763 people died after the two planes slammed into the Twin Towers. That figure includes 343, that's giving me chills, firefighters and paramedics, 23 New York City police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers who were struggling to complete an evacuation of the buildings and save the office workers trapped on higher floors. At the Pentagon, 189 people were killed, including 64 on American Airlines Flight 77, the airliner that struck the building. On Flight 93, 44 people died when the plane crash landed in Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh. And then America responds. President George Bush, who was in Florida at the time of the attacks, and has spent the day being shuttled around the country because of security concerns, returned to the White House. At 9 p.m., he delivered a televised address from the Oval Office declaring terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. And of course, if you know anything about it, not long after we went to war. The Department of Homeland Security is created. So again, if you've watched any of the other videos, we have to sacrifice freedom for security. So some of this stuff. Okay, and then Department of Homeland Security, let's see, is created in the wake of security fears raised by 9/11 and the mailing of letters containing anthrax that killed 2 and infected 17. The Homeland Security Act of 2002 created the Department of Homeland Security. It was signed into law by President George W. Bush on November 25th, 2002, like over a year later, really? Today, the Department of Homeland Security is a cabinet responsible for preventing terror attacks, border security, immigrations, and customs and disaster relief and prevention. The act was followed 2 days later by the foundation of the National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States. The bipartisan 9/11 Commission, as it came to be known, was charged with investigating the events that led up to September 11th. The 9/11 Commission report was released on July 22nd, 2004. It named Khalid Sheikh Mohammed the accused mastermind behind 9/11, the principal architect of the 9/11 attacks. Mohammed led propaganda operations for all al-Qaeda from 1999 to 2001. He was captured on March 1st, 2003 by the Central Intelligence Agency and Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence and interrogated before being imprisoned in Guantanamo Bay detention camp with 4 other accused terrorists charged with 9/11 related war crimes. The use of torture, including waterboarding, during Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's interrogation has received international attention. In August 2019, A U.S. military court judge in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, set a trial date for Mohammed and the other four men charged with plotting the 9/11 terrorist attacks to begin in 2021. It was later postponed because of the COVID pandemic. So let's see. So economic impacts. New York City's economy alone lost 143 jobs a month and 2.8 billion in wages the first 3 months. The estimated cost of the World Trade Center damage is 60 billion. The cost to clean the debris at ground zero was 750 million. And then there's a compensation fund. Let's see. Wow. There was a movie about that, and I just recently watched it. I can't remember if it was on not on Prime or Netflix. But anyway, that just gives you chills. Oh gosh, yeah, that's horrible. Just horrible. So civilians bolt in the opposite direction as firefighters rush towards the Twin Towers in NYC's World Trade Center after a plane hit the building on September 11th, 2001. Yeah, ugh. And then there's the Pentagon. And this handout provided by the FBI, first responders on scene following an attack at the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001 in Arlington, Virginia. And then this is the Shanksville, that Flight 93 where it hit the ground. I mean, I don't think there was anything left of it. And this was President Bush. He was actually at a school function, and the president had been reading to a second grade class during this time. Ugh, yeah, just horrible. And then there's some stuff if you want to go on to this is the History Channel. And there's a bunch of related articles. Ugh. And then there's the citations for all this stuff. But anyway, I don't know. Since we're coming up, tomorrow's the day. But anyway, the anniversary is 24 years. I just, ugh, I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good day. Bye.